Okay.
Opening up the microphones. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live Feature Rant. I still haven't changed the EverQuest Next Landmark logo out. Uh, I guess technically there is still some amount of ranting about EverQuest Next, so I guess I'll just keep the two smooshed together there instead of having separate logos. And this is what it is. So we've got Sgt Stakas, who was as planned for the show. Super fancy unicorn. You can see her in chat here. Unfortunately, Skype was exploding for her, and the webcam wasn't working, so she's unfortunately backed out for this episode. So in place, we are able to get our awesome friend here, Poro Sorceress, who's been working on. She did the piranha plant, which was great, and got started on Dave Georgeson's head. That's a lot of work. That is a
It
lot
will
of
be.
work. But was also kind enough to allow me to grab the very nice nose off of that statue, and I pasted that down in my laboratory with bright red lumicite. It actually looks like a Shepherd Fairy piece of art you'd see like on a street wall somewhere in downtown LA or something. So,
When I fix it, you can have Nose 2.0.
oh, Nose 2.0? Hell yes.
Yeah.
I'll have to go and check that out later on. So, I guess, Poro, why don't we start off with you? Just talk your your background with either sandbox games or EQ games or MMOs in general, or the sort of stuff that kind of fed into your love and awesome building ability in Landmark.
Well, I don't know. I've been playing MMO since I was a little kid. Nobody wanted to help me pay the subscription fees, so I was playing like these crappy Korean-free grindfest MMOs. But then later, I got into more and more stuff. I played World of Warcraft for a little bit. I've been playing Guild Wars 2. There have been a lot that have gone by. And then for building stuff, I played Minecraft like the day it went from alpha to beta, I think. And I had seen it before that, but I was like, oh, all you do is put down blocks. That's kind of weird. I didn't realize there was this whole survival aspect to it. So I did some building in that, but nothing really serious. I have probably over 150 hours on Terraria, but that's a 2D
Yeah,
procedurally generated game. So
I have about
um,
150 on that as well.
yeah, so I did mostly exploring on that too, and this is the first game Landmark is where I've really been able to build stuff that I think is cool. I didn't think it was going to happen at all, especially with the tools that we have. I was like, this is going to be so bad. I'm not going to be able to do any of this stuff that other people do. And then once I tried it, it kind of worked. I don't really know why. I've always had some weird artistic talent in the background that I haven't really tapped completely. So
Yeah, well, this has definitely been a good outlet. Like that piranha plant was just awesome work, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Nose 2.0 and what you're gonna do with the Dave Georgeson head, because that should be awesome. I saw one earlier in alpha, and it looked a little wonky, but you could tell the person was trying to depict Dave Georgeson. I have a feeling now that we understand the tools a little bit better, and the tools are a little bit more refined than they used to be. You'll probably be able to have a lot better work, and especially because you're starting to work with much larger proportions. So it'll
yeah.
be a really big that Dave Georgeson head you're gonna make is gonna be able to eat the Omid plaque that's floating around just like a big old cracker.
Yeah, it's just a little bit at a time, and it'll take a while, but I'll figure it out. Uncanny
The,
Valley is always going to be a problem for these things, though.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure.
sorry, Nero, the guys are just saying in chat that your mic's a bit low.
Okay, I can see the balance of everything. It's not that my mic is necessarily lower than normal. It's that Skype is coming through with a pretty decent volume level. So, I'll just talk louder. That'll solve it. All right. So,
Sorry.
speaking of getting louder here, our pantsless friend here, Stakas,
Hey, hey.
why don't you talk a bit about your background? Now, I should also mention Sgt Stakas is somebody who he's a fellow guest on Into the Portal, or a fellow talking head over there. Now, for the past few weeks, though, he's been mostly doing the moderator thing because he's an awfully nice guy, and he's been letting the ladies have a chance to get on the show. So everybody give him some thanks. And both people here are streamers, by the way, both Poro and Stakas. So do follow them if you haven't already. They're both awesome.
Take your pants off.
Yeah,
Don't take his word for it, though.
That's Stakas.
What, that I've not got pants on?
No, we're all.
People, oh yes, well, yeah, I was going to say, because there are people in chat that can verify I have in fact got no pants on, so it's all right.
Yeah, it gets particularly hot out down there, so we've unfortunately obliterated the ozone, and now you're getting the what happens, whatever comes through the ozone, I suppose.
Yeah, we get what comes from Omid's couch here in Australia.
Yeah, I suppose so. I guess that's how your weather system works out there.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's about as crazy as that. We have Omid sitting up on a mountain just feeding us nasty. No. I don't know. The ozone, it's doing it. A couch from America is giving us our that's a bit weird.
Yeah, there's a butterfly effect right there. That's a thing.
Yes, yeah, butterfly flaps, tsunami. I get it. Yeah. I need partners with on his couch. We get a drought. Yeah, okay. I can see how that works. Great.
All right. So, anyway.
Gaming. Let's bring that back. Gaming. Not massively MMO-y. I did play WoW though for a stint. I did lose my life for a period of months. That was way back. That was before Cataclysm. That was just before Lich King, actually. So it was a fair while ago. And I had a level 70 warrior and blah blah blah, and I played lots of that. So it's about as MMO-y RPG as I got. Played some lots of Minecraft. I had Minecraft pretty much from day dot, like back way early in alpha. I have spent way too many hours in Minecraft. Like when it really first was becoming very, very popular, we had our own server. We had a pretty big bunch of guys that used to spend just ridiculous amounts of hours building all sorts of stuff. Submarines, pirate ships, skull, cliff faces, all sorts of stuff, golden penises, the things you expect to see in Minecraft. But yeah, I'm only starting to now get back into sort of less shooter ups. I've been pretty much FPS for the last, I don't know, 7 or 8 years. Starting with Halo first-person shooter and then going all the way through playing, you name the first-person shooter, I pretty much played it. Doom, Wolfenstein, you could just keep on going through the list. Counter-Strike, Quake Arena, COD, played COD, Battlefield, all of that crap. But I've started, I don't know, as I get older, I find myself being more interested in a game that holds a little bit more than just bang, you're dead. Despite, the latest iteration of first-person shooters, they're trying to give you something more than just me shoot you, you die. They're trying to bring I don't know, like some sort of sense of accomplishment, but it's still just 30 guys versus 30 guys with guns killing each other.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm showing my age. I'm getting to the point now where I'm more interested in a lot more than just that. I'm interested in storyline. I'm interested in lore. I'm interested in I guess, a community, building a community inside a game and being a part of that, I guess. And that was a very, very big draw card. The two games I'm most into at the moment is Star Citizen and Landmark. Looking forward to next, but at the moment, because I never played any of the EQs. I never played any of them. So I really know nothing about the history or the lore of the entire universe, as far as that goes. So the only thing I know is pretty much Landmark and what I've learnt from Domo about the EQ universe, watching him play the old school EQ with the guys. And so, it's still interesting, although I can see it looks like a bunch of pixels throwing coloured light at stuff. It's really, really, mind-numbing stuff when you just watch this dude make this fun little animation for like 3 hours constantly with this little light floating around his head. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm sure he's casting a spell on something. I just don't know. I just don't know what it is. And is that big green thing with arms? Is that like, I don't know? Is that like Mr. Potato Head gone nuts or something? I don't know. But yeah. So so Landmark is pretty much the first thing I've ever really been in. Like, I've played betas for a lot of games. I've played a few alphas and stuff, but this is the first one that there seems to be some sense of community. Generally, just everyone seems to be involved. Everyone seems to have a general positive interest in the game and its development. Everyone wants it to be something really great, and they're all doing their best to try and make it that, I guess. I mean, bar the very few instances of odd trolling, swap meets going completely blank. Other than that,
That's a lot of resources to grab too, I bet.
It is, yeah. But I mean, other than that, I mean, this is by far one of the best communities I've ever not only been a part of, but I've ever witnessed. Because you hear of these communities online, you hear of the WoW community, if you can call it that. And all that sort of stuff, and you hear of all the niggling and crap that goes on in the background, and you're like, oh, I'm going to stay away from that. But I've heard nothing but good stuff about Landmark, and from me being a part of it, I've never not experienced anything but positive.
For sure.
And that kind of leads me to now, I guess. So now I'm just trying to hone my skills in building, because it kind of suck.
Yeah. There you go. And that actually answers a question. Poro and I had a previous conversation about like kind of the quality of the nature of the community, and I was saying it's one of the best communities I've been with on any online game, and I think we can actually prove it over the next however long that this is where it's at. There's a lot of people that they don't quite understand the game, and that causes them to kind of be a little bit weird about things. And there are some people that are genuinely jerks, but for the most part, we've got a lot of really, really awesome folks, and the good generally outweighs the bad with this one.
Yeah, I would agree with that from what I've seen. Well, I have a theory on it, kind of. There's not that much in the game to do right now other than be creative and go check out other people's creativity. So people who are drawn to a good community are going to like that, because it's not like building something cool takes something away from something else. There's not like limited creativity resources.
Right.
So the way the game is now, it just attracts people who are the kinds of people who make up a good community.
Yeah, and I mean also that's part of the how the success of the paid alpha and beta access really works, is that only people that really, really are interested and want it are the people that are actually going to be paying and getting in. So that's what's made it so awesome, is it's people that actually want to be here, not just ho-hum, free to play for 5 minutes, build a deck and walk away types.
I want that to be a shirt. Build a dick and walk away. That is classic. Landmark. Build a dick and walk away. Oh, that's classic.
I don't know if that's necessarily the advertising they'd be looking for, but it's gonna happen.
Oh no, it is. And I think you're completely right. With the closed beta and the closed alpha, the people in the game, other than those who've been lucky enough to be given beta access, they're invested in the game because they've had to purchase. They've physically paid money to be in it, and so there has to be a level of commitment. I mean, unless you're just ridiculously wealthy and can just throw money at stuff, and most of us are sort of like, oh yeah, no, I feel invested. I want to contribute. I want to get my money's worth and be a positive contributor to the game. Once open beta hits, though, once any Tom, Dick, and Harry can just sort of download the game and waltz in, I unfortunately think we're going to see an incredibly large increase in the what would be the terminology, dickheads, I guess, is a safe way of saying it. We're going to see a lot more stuff. I think it's going to be first of all, we're going to find a lot more cases of people being trolls and dickheads. We're going to find a lot more penises and stuff like that being built. Unfortunately, I think the
just looking at chat right now. Cronus here built a dick and walked away. Huge and blue veins and flames shooting down the what?
It's kind of artistic.
I guess if you're gonna do it,
right. If you're gonna build a dick, make it anatomically correct. Do it right. Don't go
giant buff anime dick.
That's
I guess.
right. Yeah. Don't make a little shrivel snizzle. Make it. Make it stand up. Make it proper. Make it right. But
make it proud to be what it is before it gets deleted by the dev team.
That's exactly. So the account gets banned.
For sure, because that's gonna. Well, it's not necessarily the account gets banned. It's just the claim itself gets deleted in full. Anything that you were building that you thought was awesome, well, it's all gone. They just do a one-stroke wipe. So
yeah,
that's what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
All right. So before I continue, why don't you No Pants rage a little, like you were saying about what's going on behind the scenes there? That cement truck. Come on, what's up?
Do we have to go here?
If you wanted, you don't have to.
Oh no! Look, first of all, it starts off with this is the other neighbor now. This isn't even Lawn Man. Lawn Man's the prick with the hedge trimmer and the leaf blower.
Yeah.
All right, that I've already had to go at twice now, during the middle of a stream, and now I've got the guys on the other side that have apparently ordered a cement truck. Why they need a cement truck, I don't know. Hopefully it's to pour some boots for whoever lives there, because I tell you, there's nothing. They've not got any construction. They've not got any, they're not redoing their driveway. I don't know, but every time I seem to do a morning stream, it seems that some bastard's got some piece of machinery outside. I do a show! Would you quit it? No, it's not going to help. They can't hear me. Thing's so loud, they can't hear me. I'm on the internet. I do a show.
They wouldn't even do you the luxury of turning off the engine for a moment just to humor you.
No, they wouldn't. They'd just like, yeah, right, yeah, mate. Good on you. Yeah. I don't know. But that's what's going on at the moment. I have a giant cement truck not 30 feet from my window pouring cement onto something. I don't even know what it's doing. I hope they're making a big dick and they walk away. That's all if that's what they were making, then it would be all worth it. But I doubt very, very much that the lady next door is going to be making a giant penis out of cement. Unless she's Korean. The Koreans love penises. There's a penis museum over in Korea that you can visit, and it's just
Iceland.
There's probably like one in every major city in the United States. I bet Dallas.
I know you're just talking about normal, aren't you? Over there, it's just a big. Isn't that your Congress? Just a big room full of penises.
Well, a penis and a potato. It's a dictator. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, they showed off caves a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Looks awesome. Now, the thing to keep in mind with that, I don't believe caves are just this thing that starts on the surface and wiggles its way down, and that's it. I'm pretty sure there's also going to be caves which you don't actually find unless you just start like digging randomly through the world and eventually stumble upon it. So there's potentially a lot of different ways to find things, and I could see a lot of people just for fun trying to map out a series of caves. One person's coming in from the mountain from this side from a cave, one from this side, and even though they don't connect, they're going to try to get their names as close to possible and try to dig their way through and see if they can find a tunnel. Um, just for the fun of it, or they might end up in the process finding some other, area that was previously unexposed that has, mad loot that nobody's collected for the entire life of the server.
I guess the question that pops up in my mind is they stated that they were procedurally generated caves. So that to me means that no two caves are going to be exactly the same. Now, we have 5 or 6, probably, I don't know, maybe 7 different servers, and they've all got the same islands on each server. Being procedurally generated, does that mean that if I go to Serenity Point and I find a cave in a certain spot, if I go to, say, one of the other servers and I go to Point on any one of those, is there going to be a cave in that same spot, or will the procedurally generated engine that creates these caves make it so random that there's not even guaranteed going to be a cave in the same spot?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm thinking that it's going to be one of two things. Either one, everything is generated in the world, at the time that the world is made, and maybe you can even build claims using the caves, down deep in them, but they're all just generated as part of the terrain. Or the second thing it could be is that caves will actually just disappear entirely, and new ones will appear in different places. I don't know how the mechanic for that would actually work, because it'd be really jarring to be in a cave and you're halfway down, and then after you've been in there for maybe 3 or 4 hours, you're trying to find the way back up, and there is no way back up because the cave is procedural. So,
Yeah.
that's the sort of thing. It Both of them have their advantages and both have their disadvantages, but I feel like it's probably going to be the first way, and what's actually populating the cave out, that you'll potentially see the what's in the various different areas. There could be a treasure chest here on one server and not on another, for example, or maybe it is sealed off in some areas on one server and you'd have to like dig around it and know that it's actually there to dig around. There's different ways they can do it.
I mean, I would think it would be different for the different islands, because it would be kind of boring if you had a combination of like every island has the same caves and the caves aren't gonna sort of heal over after a period. I don't really know how they would handle it, but it seems like that would defeat the purpose of like why we were excited about caves in the first place, because there's all this exploring to do and it doesn't like end ever.
Yeah. Well, I guess on the other part of it is being procedurally generated. Does that mean that it only continues generating whilst there's someone to explore that part of the cave? Because, I mean, like Minecraft, the world basically gets generated as you travel through it. So there's no guarantee what you're going to come across, because it waits for you to then get to a certain point before it'll build the next part of the world in front of you. Will it be like that for us with the cave? As you get deeper and deeper, it waits for you to get down there before it starts just randomly generating. So there's absolutely no guarantee what shape or what form the cave will actually take on its way. Or is, when they say procedurally generated, as in it's just a completely randomization of a particular world space, and then that's that once it's been done. Once you log into the world space gets created and then it's set. But that is completely random in that happening. I don't know. I guess
I'm really not 100% sure how it's going to do it. I mean, the way 3089 works is that it doesn't draw the stuff until you need it, and as you get into an area, it'll kind of reference what's around there to see if it needs to generate any new stuff in that area or not, new enemies, new loot boxes or anything like that. So it could be something like that. It is a proximity-based thing. I'm trying to get the trying to make it stop making the Skype sound there because it's kind of loud and annoying for folks. Anyway, Poro, did you have anything you want to say on the subject?
Oh, I was just gonna say, after what Stakas said, like, any point in the cave could be an entrance point, right? Like, you can dig in the ground straight down and just find one. So I don't know if they could have it, like, generate as you got there, but I just got the feeling from them that they're not gonna be, like, features of the landscape. They're gonna be changing and stuff. Maybe they can detect if someone's there and they're not gonna mess with it. Like, I don't really know, but...
I mean, because I remember early on in when they were definitely announcing caves, and that they were definitely going to be a thing, and that was where you were going to have to go for a lot of your higher tier resources. One of the questions that I paid particular attention to was someone asked if they find a cave, will they be able to build? Like, will they be able to take their claim down in there and build like their own little thing down in a subterranean thing? And they said yes. So to me, that kind of would say that if there's a particular, and someone in chat, I can't remember who it was, it just sort of flicked past, said that they might have a combination of set caves that just will never change, and then ones that maybe are a little bit more dynamic that kind of heal up or change as they go, which would kind of answer both questions. Where you could have, if you find a set cave system and then it doesn't change over a certain period of time, you could go down, throw your claim down, have a little underground dwelling, whatever, be a dwarf, have yourself a mine under there or whatever. But then you might find a different cave system that changes every time you go into it. It'd be cool if it did, but
I wish they would tell us more about it.
That's the problem. I guess we're kind of throwing throwing ideas around with no real knowledge of exactly how it's going to work. I mean, they might not know yet. I mean, they might not know exactly what the mechanics that they've got to implement for it are going to be, what they can handle. I mean, they might have really big ideas of being able to have these massively continually regenerating expanses underground, but they just might not be able to, the game might not be able to physically handle that. So they might have to go with something like a stagnant set cave route that is not going to change, just to save on resources for your PC, because continually, I know when Minecraft first started off, I had a pretty dodgy PC to start with, and it really couldn't handle that procedural generation, especially if you were running really quickly through the world, and it was constantly having to render more and more world in.
You mean the gears?
Yeah, basically, I was getting Minecraft gears. That's right. So, I just
gears with 100% more death.
Yes. Oh yeah.
That's it. Yeah. So who knows? Because I mean, they really have a lot of optimization to do. If they're gonna, and they just start pouring a load of concrete. Because if
build a dick and walk away.
Yeah, build it and walk away, motherfuckers. I tell you what, if yelling at them would do anything, I would. I mean, it's it's enough to intimidate Lawn Prick, but these guys, they're big and they're fat and they wear fluoro jackets. I don't think a pantsless guy in his bedroom is gonna scare many of them away. If we're getting enough, if we're getting those cogs when we're just trying to cruise through, although granted we don't get that very often anymore.
Nope.
I'm hoping that when they bring in caves, that we don't suddenly all of see that pop up again. That whatever they do is handled efficiently by the system.
Someone said you should be able to dig in any spot, and the game should build a dynamic cave system. Kind of reminds me of the way the ores are now, where just because you see something on the surface the game doesn't know like what you're gonna find when you dig until you actually do it, and then it generates like the depression in the ground and stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's I mean, that's in essence the procedural thing at heart. So I'm hoping that it works like that, because that'd be cool, just to find a spot, pick them up, bring out your pulverizer, and go. I'm going down here.
Yep. Oh yeah, no, there's definitely gonna be just pulverizer parties. Everybody just start digging straight down, and once we find something awesome,
Sinkhole.
pull out your picks, do some work. A couple people, keep your eyes open for enemies. Someone with a big old sledgehammer or a flamethrower or whatever we're gonna have. Flamethrower. Hell yeah.
Only if I can set people's pants on fire.
I wonder if there's gonna be like loot, roles for groups.
I don't know if it's going to be that kind of game. I think it'll be everybody in the group finds a fragment of, such and such relic or whatever that you can then use to craft more kick-ass items.
Yeah, that would make more sense, rather than just killing a creep, having it drop, a pair of braces, a pair of boots, a chest piece. Maybe what it does is it drops, like Neuro said, some essence that then you use personally to then craft a better chest piece or boots or braces, and then everyone gets a part of that. Everyone gets some, so that it's equal for everyone. What they choose to then spend that on, whether it be a chest piece or a helmet or a sword or whatever, that's up to them. But everyone gets that. Would make a lot of sense to do it that way, rather than like in WoW, you've got to basically throw your dice into the cage and hope you get the bloody, the thing that you went there for, the thing you've. You don't get the sixth pair of boots that you've got from that same raid.
Assuming that right before the thing is killed, the raid leader doesn't switch it to Loot Master and then just take everything.
Disband group. Take a lot. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Seen a lot of that.
Well, right now, the refining stations are private, and you can't unprivate them, so I'm kind of worried about it.
Yeah, those they definitely need to do something about, because not only does it make it problematic for people that want to just work together and have one set of tools that they share, but it also unfortunately encourages crap shacks, because there are people that want to have the tools but they don't have any building skills and they don't care to have people come and build on their claim. So what ends up happening, they'll claim a spot in the middle of nowhere, they'll put all their tools up on it, they won't build on it, and it's just an eyesore, but they have to maintain it in order to have their tools. So, for those folks, they would be able to avoid that if they just, they can use somebody else's refinery and, not have to build a crap shack and maintain it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why they've made it so that those refining stations are personal only, because it then encourages people. Because what was happening in Alpha, when there were none, and it was just a sword table, the tool trinket bench and stuff like that, one person would make the entire set of the highest tier level items, and then everyone else would use it. They wouldn't go out and build it themselves. They were basically just relying on someone else to build it for them, and then that was it. I've got a tool set, I don't need to worry about that. Then I can just sit there and throw all of my resources at trying to get a legendary pick. Well, with these new refining stations, people are forced to go out if they want that higher tier gear, if they want that high level stuff. They themselves now have to make the effort and go out, and it sort of makes people go out. But it also encourages teamwork, though, because you're sharing the resources, and it makes it more sense. For it's like, hey, I need to build a higher refining table, for my wood. What do you need? Oh, I need some more stuff to make the higher sword table. Oh, okay, well, let's go out. Let's group up. Let's go out and let's mine some stuff specifically for that. And so it gets people out. It gets them doing things together. It sort of, I can see why they've done it, but you are right. It is a big pain in the ass, because I've got a couple of guys that have got permissions on my claim. And if they want to use the refining table, I have to pick it up. I have to put it into a chest. They then have to pick it up, put it down and use it. And then when they're done, pick it up, put it back in the chest, and then I have to pick it up and put it down again just so I can use it again.
Can't they just pick it up directly?
Yeah, they can. We figured that out. But I'm just saying that's what had to happen to start off when we didn't know that. We didn't know that you could just pick up any old table and put it down again. But even that's a pain in the ass to have to pick it up, put it back down
Yeah.
again. What if they can do that? Why can't they just use it? You know, it really doesn't
That's
make
why
sense.
it doesn't make sense, because it
Yeah.
seems like they're trying to encourage people to have to do their own harvesting without relying on other people exclusively. But then there's this loophole where, I mean, not anybody can come and use it, but anybody that you gave permissions to can use it. So
Well, yeah. What if they can use it? Why not let them just use it straight up without having to pick it up and put it back down again?
yeah,
If you trust that person enough to give them complete and utter claim control, like a building permission, so they can delete and move and do anything that they could do on their own claim, why not let them use the freaking thing? You know, it's there to be used.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly. Okie dokie. So, Glass was announced.
Mhm.
Exciting. So they showed some of the stuff. There's going to be props first, and then the voxels. So that's 2 of the 3 forms of glass that I had previously described. The third one being a non-voxel volume that'd probably be like a particle field.
yeah. I was kind of confused about what they were talking about because they showed pictures of how the stained glass, when there's light behind it, it'll like go through kind of. And then they were saying that there's going to be glass props that are different shapes that you can change the size and fit them into the windows you have. And then they said there's going to be glass voxels after that. So are those 3 separate things, or are the first 2 like the same thing? Kind of?
The first 2 are different types of props. There's the ones that'll be more like the translucent decorative props, and then it seems like the other one will be the more transparent, do whatever you want kind of modular glass props. So that'll be really, really nice to have. That's something I've been asking for a while. Just some solution for people to put glass in. And the fact that it's finally here, that's really awesome. And we can give them all the feedback in the world about it because this is the time to do it.
So is it kind of like a Band-Aid solution where people want glass but they're not ready to put the glass voxels, or is this something that is going to stay?
No, it's something that's here to stay. The props were just ready before the voxel version. So they said the voxel glass is going to be in hopefully next week. And I don't know how that's going to work. I'm guessing it's going to be some amount of sand to make the glass, and potentially some amount of sand and some amount of gems to make colored glass. Or to make a really shiny, reflective, beautiful, polished-looking diamond glass.
Yeah, that would. I'd like to see the ability also to create the coloured props as well, though. If you've got a piece of prop, the option to at least maybe make a couple of different colours of the same shapes. Because we have to assume they're going to make a circular one. They're going to make a square, maybe a rectangle. But a triangle. I mean, they'd have to make something. I don't know what other shapes could they use, but I'd like the option to be able to make different colors. And if that means that you just have to throw in a different colored gem to make it, then I think a lot of people would be happy with that.
Well, now there's those light sources, so you could stick that by your window, and then that would kind of change the color, I think.
Yeah,
True.
for sure. True. So that'll be really nice to see with glass, and especially like you just said with the dynamic lighting and how that'll work. I think it'll also especially be really nice to have that with the Lumicite to be able to make some really awesome sci-fi looking stuff, or just anything modern looking. There's so many builds I've seen, fantasy, modern, sci-fi, and otherwise, where just having glass filling in all of the empty looking microvoxel windows would make it, so much more awesome. I will say, I miss the ability to just, grapple through people's windows, and I'm one of the rare few who dared to try a Prime Grappler code again. So, grappling from long distance.
So I wonder if there'll be other shortcuts like that then. It seems like the prop glass is kind of like a shortcut, because the voxel glass will probably look at least similar.
The voxel
Yeah.
glass will probably have a lot more control. It'll probably have
Yeah.
the way I'm kind of imagining glass works is that there's the kind of the volume inside that it's not considering. There's the surface on one side and the surface on the other, and it's using those two surfaces to cast the light through. So, if you've got something that's this thick, it's just considering the edges of it. If you've got something that's this thick, it only matters where the edges are, and what's inside really isn't drawn because that's basically represented by, the transparent glass you're just seeing right through. So that's potentially how it could work. I mean, the other thing is it could still just be in a very early alpha state. It's like, yeah, it's glass. Yeah, light interacts with it. It's not finished yet. Sorry, still working on it, and that'd be totally fine.
I guess the thought of voxel glass then pops up in my mind now that we've discovered microvoxels and creating microvoxel panels and stuff like that. Would that and the ability to basically create curves and crescent like shapes by using the spherical delete tool and stuff like that, would that then make the prop glass redundant if by creating a microvoxel pane of glass and then shaping it and stuff like that? I mean, wouldn't that sort of mean that there's no real point to the prop glass? I guess the only thing that
Yes
prop glass
and no.
has is the resizing part of it is the one that I'm overlooking, I guess.
Not only the fact that you can have a little bit more control over the actual dimensions of it with the prop version. The prop version could actually have better interaction with light than the voxel version. So
True.
for that extent, it might be, use the glass voxels for kind of the rough stuff, but the stuff that's like your real nice, pretty lookout windows, you have to use the prop version.
You're right, yeah. Because I guess voxels and microvoxels are a unpredictable thing. I guess we don't know exactly how they'll interact once they actually get implemented. They could do something really weird when you start making them into a microvoxel. So
Yeah.
at least a prop's a constant. You know what it's going to look like. You know what's going to happen, no matter how big or small you make it, no matter what angle you put it at. You know it's a constant sort of interaction with the world and the light source and stuff.
So here's a question: should Obsidian become a default, like a dark glass voxel once the glass comes through? Should it have a dark glass available? Because that's, in the context of what Obsidian is, it is basically a dark, glassy crystal, and it can actually, kind of be used in almost in similar ways like that. I mean, I'm pretty sure Obsidian's maybe a little bit more opaque. I don't know if it's full on transparent, but that seems like it'd be a nice feature to be able to provide with it.
Have like a somewhat transparent option.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, I'm not gonna say no, don't do that. I'm not like an Obsidian purist. Alright.
The other thing is, because Obsidian's a little harder to find than sand, that would make, blackened out windows. Yeah, I know, Stakas. You've got Obsidian going on your claim.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
The amount of time I've spent collecting obsidian the last 3 days is just.
Well, one of these days we'll have to do a harvesting session. You get the obsidian, I get the mithril, and we'll work out or something.
I had to go out again. Actually, I ran out the other day. I was leveling off some more walls, and I had to go. I went out and got another 120,000 obsidian. So that's now something like over 700,000 obsidian and counting.
I don't think I have that kind of resolve.
Not to mention the 1.2 million dirt voxels that I finished mining this morning.
Ooh, sounds like fun.
The rubber band method. I'm not completely dumb. See, obsidian worms its way through the dirt, so you've got to be there, and you've got to be aiming for it to, But dirt is just rubber. Like, I don't have a macro, so rubber band on my mouse, point it down, click, away you go. Jump,
Yep.
jump.
First
Until
person.
you fall. Yep, exactly. Until you fall through the earth, and then you spawn back up the top again, and you just keep, and it just keeps going. So it's just like, oh, I'm going to go make a coffee now.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So I mean, the first 600,000 was mined legitimately with me sitting there with my little mouse. One day I'll get there. And then I'm like, you know what? This is ridiculous. I found a rubber band. I'm like, I wonder if this works. And it worked. I'm like, hallelujah, praise the Lord. Can I get an amen?
Yeah, it works a lot better that way. I since I have the trackball mouse, and I don't have to worry about the mouse kind of moving around. I just have this handy bottle that I put the tip of it on the left click button. That works.
That's it. MacGyver Gaming should
Yep.
be a thing. Should be a welcome to MacGyver Gaming.
All right, so glass.
Did you see what Radiolog said
No.
about glass? He said that the props are not going to distort the other voxels. The prop glass, yeah.
Right.
That's why I
yeah.
was saying it feels kind of like a shortcut, because you might have both available to you, but you're not. If you have a simple window, if it's like a rectangle, you might not try to use the voxel glass, because then you're going to have to deal with the consequences of that.
Yeah.
So.
But then I guess the benefit of a voxel is you can physically manipulate it in ways you could never manipulate a prop.
Yeah.
So, you could try making a glass sculpture, which you could just not make out of a prop, but you can then physically place a frame of voxels and smooth it down. And, so I guess there's room in the world. The more I think about it, the more I can see there's room in the world for both of them. I guess we'll have to wait and see exactly how well implemented they are when we get them.
Yeah.
Guaranteed they'll have an issue. Dibs calling first bug on glass. Guarantee something whack will happen.
Yeah, first person to make some glass, so that they'll find it, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that'll be exciting. That'll make some really nice stuff and builds all over the game. There's a subject that's been coming up, pretty frequently, and it's going to come up again here. The cylinder tool. Well, actually, maybe not the cylinder tool. It's either the cylinder or the curve tool, because a lot of people have actually been saying a cylinder, that's kind of cool, but actually having a more defined curve tool would give a lot more definition with that sort of stuff, and not just make cylinders, but you can also make ellipses and other neat shapes like that. So what do you folks think? Cylinder tool, curve tool, or neither one? Players can suck it, build it on their own, figure it out, and if you can't, you can't have access to those tools in Landmark.
I think a lot of things should be more simplified like that, where you should be able to just put a cylinder down in the world, since you can really do it now. It just takes a lot more steps. A lot of these things that we know we can do, they just take a bunch of steps. I don't see why they can't just simplify the whole process and be like, here, have this. I don't know, people are saying it's not possible, though. If you look on the forums and stuff, they're like, oh, they can't do this for all these technical reasons, and I don't really know if that's true.
Yeah, because they can't do a cylinder, right, or a sphere.
I don't know, that's what people seem to think.
A sphere is, technically way more difficult.
You can make a cylinder already. That's the thing. You can make one. It's like, oh no, it's not possible. Oh, yeah, what is this that all of these columns are made of then, pray tell? Just what exactly are these made of? On so many claims throughout the entire game. Well, that's not made by cylinders. No, that's made by, I don't know what the fuck it could be made by, bloody. But it's made of penises. And that was the original excuse that I heard, that the reason for not putting a cylinder tool in it wasn't because it wasn't physically possible. It was because their initial thought was people are just going to make giant dicks, because if they give them a tool that's capable of making a long cylindrical object, the first thing people are going to do is dicks everywhere. Dicks.
Yes, but it turns out The
So you have a deck.
the sphere with the tweak tool, and you just build one on top of the other, actually looks a lot more like muscular and anatomically
Oh, that's
correct.
right.
So,
That's right.
you know,
The vein,
it's
the veiny beast, the purple-headed monster. Let's just call it what it. Yeah. So I mean, that's ridiculous to say that. Oh no, they can't do it. Well, if I can sit there and chop down a sphere, and then I can stack it, select it, if I can go through that process that people have found works and come up with an almost perfect cylindrical shape, why the fuck can't they just give it to us?
yeah, seriously.
On. Just give
Might
us the
have
tool.
something
Actually,
to do with the fact that they said if we give you fewer tools, then necessity will cause people to be more creative, which seems a little bit sadistic to me right now.
yeah, okay. So, you know,
It's
tell everybody, tell every soldier out in the field that, oh yeah, your Swiss Army knife, it's totally like a screwdriver and a knife and like all these other things and tweezers, and like it totally functions as well as all of those things. No, actually, it doesn't function as well as any of those things.
yeah. I
You know, there's a point where you've got to give us like actual tools. There's only so much wood we can cut without having a the gang saw or whatever. You just push the planks across. There's only so much we can do with the tools that are available. Now, here's the thing I think would actually be the best solution is players can not only, we can make templates in the way that we make them, but also having the ability to make shape tools on our own shapes, and then being able to trade and distribute those shapes to others. So that way you can have a group of people work together to make perfect cylinders, perfect arches, all of that stuff. All the perfect fidelity, even hollowing them out potentially, and distribute them amongst everybody, and then we all have the tools, and SOE doesn't have to do a damn thing except make it
yeah.
available for us to do that.
So you're going a step further than a swap meet. You're saying not let's just make templates for people to be able to make and keep. You're saying that you want us to have the ability to physically create an actual tool shape that we could then use to then change size and rotate and stuff, and then instantly place down that particular shape with whatever voxel we have selected. Is that what you?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
well, that's cool. Just trying to get a gist because I was going to say, but because you're talking about people making different shapes and all that sort of stuff. Well, that's kind of what the swap meets are. But you want it physically. Okay, I've made this shape. Now you hit a control, you make a command. That then turns it into an expandable, changeable selection tool that you could then. Okay, I want to scroll through my wheel. I go from small up to big, 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 and then you can then stretch it and make it long, and you can basically make a long thin cylinder, or you can make a short fat cylinder. That's kind of what you're talking?
Yeah, and basically being able to use these things that you've created not just as a template, but even more accessibly as a shape tool of its own.
I'm not sure how
The one major limitation on why it'd be different than a template is that it's restricted to one material, because you can't have a shape tool with multiple materials on it. So that would be the one limitation. That'd be that really helps separate from the shape, as well as making information, because it's just you're pasting that one set of voxels, that one material. It isn't pasting a complex set of things and making sure they're all lined up.
Well, that's what painting's for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Someone was talking before about how a cylinder is a prism, so they just want to be able to make prisms.
Yeah.
And I guess what people are doing right now is just stacking things. Like, there's a lot of, let me copy and paste this on top of itself a bunch of times. It would be nice if there was a streamlined way to do that, like...
An extrude feature,
anything.
yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that's seeps in there. I was talking about an extrude tool, and that's actually something I'd love to have. It's something, once again, 3D modeling tools have it, so it's a really exceptional tool to have. It's not, you'll select an area, and maybe you can even use a custom selection tool, but then the area you've selected, you can extrude it, expand it out, or potentially kind of push it into the wall and indent with the selection. Both would be great.
A negative
truck.
space. Oh,
Okay, and sealing up some dead bodies over there or something.
work for the mob.
Whatever it is.
Suspiciously large, 6 foot long garden ornaments in their front yard. I don't know.
They're just pouring a giant block of concrete that they're gonna hand carve into a fountain themselves.
That's right. No, I know what it is. It's what it is. Is dickhead next door's gone, ah, shit, I've got no more garden maintenance to do. I'll just order a giant slab of concrete to get poured randomly in someone else's yard. And it'll bloody screw with him this time.
So I had some guys I knew in junior high school, the middle school sort of thing. They got one of the yard supervisor's credit card information somehow, and ordered a ton of manure on his front lawn. So.
Believe me, if it wasn't for the fact that they knew how much we don't like each other, because I know the minute I do something to that prick's lawn, he's going to be knocking on my in my lawn. I know that's good because I'm going to go to we've got Bunnings, which is like Home Depot for you guys, and I'm just going to get a big, huge barrel of freaking weed killer and just dump it on his freaking lawn or something, or spell out fuckhead or a giant dick on his lawn, a giant penis, and then walk away.
Yeah.
That's it. Yep.
Actually, that tar sealant stuff. Get that all over because then they'll think you can still salvage it.
Just
all right.
That's pay a redneck to do donuts on it in his bloody 4B.
Yeah, there you go.
Fucking.
By the way, I keep forgetting to mention Poro. I don't know if it translates the same way over on the broadcast, but over on Skype, the webcam has this like dot grid on it. It looks like pictures from like the 1960s.
I don't know why it's like that. I have no clue. It's the one that's attached to my my laptop. Yeah, so everybody else knows this one is not the camera I normally use because that one's cutting out and freezing randomly, so I figured I'd just use the crappy one that I know will work.
Fair enough. It seems like everyone's having camera issues today. Poor old Uni couldn't get hers to work. Yours is on the fritz.
Yeah, mine is just straight up broken. I just gotta get another one.
Yeah, the other one's being held up by duct tape. It's really, really loud when she's got to redo it with the duct tape so it stays up. But that's off the last.
It's not. It's time. Packing tape. There's a difference.
Packing tape. Excuse me. I couldn't tell by just the sound of it. I'm not a.
I showed it. I showed everyone the tape.
I guess I wasn't looking at the tone. Like I said, I was filing papers while that broadcast was going on, so I wasn't really watching. I was mostly joining in with chat every now and then.
Yeah, I saw Ara's freaking out yesterday too. That was really weird.
Yeah. It was pretty weird, but the people. Yeah.
Talking about duct tape.
Yeah. Well, actually, Era had some the cat issues this time, and apparently there's now a box of shattered rigatoni that I guess is being used as a cat guard. Long story. Anyway, so another thing that they talked about in the Landmark Live show was the new claims. We're going to be getting another add-on and another primary. So that's totally awesome. And that shows they're starting to maybe work out some of their own details internally about how they want the upkeep and maintenance systems to work. Which is also really good because, it's nice for them to start kind of coming to some resolution and refining those things. So one of the things they talked about is they're going to start doing contests. There's going to be 2 weeks or whatever to get ready and build up for this one to build the Spire Hub things and the awesome ones will get accepted, but it's got to be stuff that isn't Tron or otherwise.
Cannot,
Specifically calling you out there, apparently.
yeah, I know, it was funny too. I was just like, what? Hello.
It's like, I remember seeing that, and then I realized it was you, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, no, I can completely understand that. Any copyrighted or intellectual property, I can see how that would be completely off. And they even go as far as to say that anything even owned by Sony but not directly by them themselves, the division that's creating the game, is questionable. Because they've got their own. Omid was talking about it. They've got their own internal sort of issues where even if there's a bit of intellectual property owned by Sony in general, but it's not owned by SOE directly, they still have to apply for the permissions to be able to use it within their own company, and sometimes they don't get permission for whatever reason because there's some legality issue. So I can completely, and especially Tron being from Disney, there is no way in hell
that's
Disney's
not
gonna let anything go. It's like Walt would turn in his grave, or should I say, in his cryo cell, because
His cryo tube.
he's frozen. We know it. Walt is frozen.
Now I imagine a spinning frozen head of Walt Disney. just this ice cube spinning in place with rage.
I instantly think of those tubs that from Futurama that they keep the heads in.
Oh yeah.
Except it's frozen and there's just a head floating in the middle there, and then there's someone's trying to use Disney propaganda. Quick, roll this into this. Someone's physically rolling Walt around. God damn it! Copyright. Send the lawyers. Oh dear.
So we were talking about the contest, right? And right before we were talking.
Yeah, contests and the added claims. So they said it's got to fit on one claim space.
Oh, really? I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, they said it's got to be able to fit within the space of just one claim. So that makes sense.
I mean, I think the original spies that were in now would fit perfectly inside one complete claim. So if they can manage that, I don't think that there would be any problem with that. Although, how are we going to do it though? How are we going to do it? I mean, if you look at the shapes that the spies that we've got currently use, I mean, we don't have tools that can create those sorts of curves on those sorts of angles. Like, that's a prop. It's not they're not made of voxels. So I'm not sure if they've got a particular style in mind or something. Or
they said just make it awesome. They want it. They want it to be a landmark.
Sure,
so,
I get it.
Build it big. Or they said, a full claim-sized inlaid floor that could also be awesome enough to, do the thing. So, there's a lot of options.
Yeah.
I have an idea for it.
What you got?
I'm gonna spoil it for you guys.
She's gonna make Dave's head bigger so that you physically
you walk in the mouth.
You physically spawn inside his head, inside his brain cavity. There's all sorts of funky stuff going on in there, and then you've got glass.
Inside there, it's gonna be Psychonaut style.
That's right, and then you've got glass where the eyes would be, so you can look out. And then to get out, you physically got to crawl out of his nose like a giant booger.
I wonder what Dave's figments would look like. So I was thinking something like on the XY plane, kind of small, because this is something that they were saying is going to be by the spire, and then you see it as you're going into the world. So I didn't want to do something chunky. So I was thinking about doing, and I haven't thought it out completely yet, but a tree sort of thing. And I know there's trees, but the action is going to be in the top. So I wanted to do a tree of life kind of thing. Nice. And have living spaces all intertwined in there, and I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna put up there, but
one way you can do it
completely made of voxels though.
Oh, because I was gonna say one way you could do it is you take one of the huge old growth trees, turn it upside down, stick the green part into the ground so it's invisible, and then the part that's going up, maybe 2/3 to 3/4 of the claim is all the giant roots that you would then be able to build up with voxels and props and stuff to do whatever you wanted with.
Yeah.
That could be a cool way. I mean, now it's out there. Anybody could do it, but I bet you could do it pretty awesome.
I mean, you could build voxels like around the roots and then get rid of the prop completely.
Yeah, that's true.
But I was just thinking about how in different lores, there's sometimes like basically a giant ass tree that everybody worships for some reason.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
So I like that kind of stuff. So I haven't completely thought out what's going to actually be up there, but it's going to be cool.
Nice.
We'll see what happens. I definitely want to finish Dave, though.
Yep.
Dave's
Tree of Life
head.
with Dave's face is what Uni was asking. That could work.
Maybe turn Dave into a treant.
Burl Georgeson.
That statue is going to become open to the public after I finish it. We're just going to let anybody copy it.
That's awesome.
We'll see what happens after that.
The minute you said that, I immediately thought of someone taking that, cutting it, laying it down with the head broken off it, like there's been a revolt and they've all rebelled against Dave, and they've yanked the statue down and it's fallen down, and that's the first thing I thought of.
You can do that.
Down with the voxel gods. Yeah. Pull it down. I don't know why so destructive. Not let's surround it with more lovely statues like little Omedes and little Dexellas and Pentapods. No, let's rip it down. Let's destroy it. Terrible. Ugh.
That truck.
That mother trucking.
Yeah, no, you can use profanity here. It's got the mature content warning.
Oh, I know. I'm saving it up. It's all going to come out.
I'm sure. All right. So they've talked about some changes in like mining tools, hooks, pulverizers, accessories, and specifically not running into a wall at the end of the vein when you're doing your progression. Like you've got your pick that can get through cobalt, but it can't get through rubicite. So the first however many rubicite that you find, the first maybe 5,000 to 10,000 ore worth, you just have to abandon because you don't have the tool for it at the time that you first see it. So they're working through some of that stuff, and I don't know what else they're going to be doing. Maybe they'll even be adding another pulverizer and another level of hook. We'll find out tomorrow.
When you say hook, you're talking grapple?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need a better grapple because this thing's just not cutting it. I've been spoilt with the prime grappler.
I've never had one. So.
That reach, just the ability to be standing there and go, I need a better perspective on this. Yoink, Spider-Man, and you just be, this is good. Yep, this is great. Now it's just like boing, 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 boing. Now, so much because my entire claim is so open and so. Basically, I don't know if you've seen the entire inside, but it's literally two complete claims side by side, hollowed out, like just completely surfaced in obsidian. There's nothing else in it, and then I've got another claim off to the side of that, which is about probably 3/4 completely empty. So I've got a lot of space that I need to be up high to be able to see where things are, and it's constantly grapple. Yeah, okay, that's good. Now I've got to see it from the other side. Grapple.
Well, apparently you're going to be able to fly soon.
I know, but had I had my prime grappler and I've got my anklets, I could literally just go doing, and just that's it. I'd be done. And I'd be like, yeah, this is good. Next one, doing. Yep, great, done. I'm out of here. But yes, I realise flying will be coming soon. TM, apparently. TM. And that was, and just quickly, that raised a little question I had about fall damage. is I realize once we have fly, that won't be a major issue. But I'm just hoping that they implement fly before they implement fall damage, because I don't. I mean, a lot of people out there can probably testify how many times I would be dead had there been fall damage and no flying ability. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
I just hope they think that through first. I hope they go, okay, here you go, we're gonna have fall damage, and then all these people trying to build, and they just, unless you maybe become invulnerable, that would be the only other thing I could think of. Invulnerable
Yeah.
on your own claim. That would
would
be
be nice.
sense.
perfect
But
sense to
even
me.
still, I would have killed Poro a couple times yesterday with the claim I have way up in the sky.
I know, right? just trying to look at other
I-
people's claims.
I pretty much fell down the entire thing.
Yeah, that's terminal velocity.
But like fall damage is still like if you're just out in the world, you're not on anybody's claim. There's going to be fall damage. Like if you have a lunar anklet, you can jump like 4 times your height. Like how far are you going to have to fall before it starts hurting?
And
Well,
that's, I think, going to be a factor of the jump height. At least I hope it is. Otherwise, it's going to be some of that scroll of jump from, was it Morrowind? Where you go outside the town, you find this this dead wizard. He's got these scrolls and this thing that talks about some research he's been working on. And they're these scrolls that give you this super powerful jump. You cast the spell, and if you don't jump immediately, but you wait a couple seconds before you jump, it'll actually run out before you hit the ground and you splatter. But if you jump immediately when you use the spell, you'll go way like 500-meter arc and land safely at the very end. So that's kind of what it makes me think of with the lunar anklet. Is it going to be like that? Like, we're going to have the safety of the jump and having that protect us, or are we? Fall damage is fall damage. You fall from this height, no matter how high you can jump, you're still going to take damage. Because, yeah.
And I guess the other question to throw out there, because being one of the very few that actually has 2 lunar anklets, do they stack?
No.
Because the jumping ability stacks, and it does.
It's not going to, actually. They said they're going to be changing.
Are they going to fix it, are they?
Yeah, because they're intended to be exclusive one per account, and to guarantee that they're making sure they can't stack.
But does that mean that then a lunar anklet and a normal anklet of bounding won't stack? Because that's a completely legitimate thing.
I hope they will. I'm pretty sure that should be the case, but I mean, there's also probably going to be potions we can make later on that give us some jump height. So,
I guess because that my initial question was like, if they stack in the jumping ability, do they also stack for the amount of height that you can fall without getting damaged? Because if you then did that, then you'd be able to not only jump really high, but then fall pretty much a great distance without getting any damage as well.
But I think fear and uncertainty without knowing what's actually going to be available. Like Boots of the Zephyr is just one of many things they've shown off, and if you're falling really fast and you turn on these boots that make you glide, suddenly your downward velocity is cut. You haven't smashed on the ground, and you're just starting to kind of glide. Even if you only have enough mojo to do that for a moment, that'll be enough to give you basically a safe fall mechanic. Or the other thing, the Terraria trick that I always do is hooking the walls or trying to even hook below myself, because the mechanic with that grappler, if you hook down and attach on the ground, any hook, it counts as negating fall damage. So
I was just going to say the same thing for Just Cause 2. Anyone who's played that and mucked around with the grapple parachute thing, where you can basically grapple onto something and then paraglide, or you can just grapple to stuff. You could jump into a jet, a stealth jet. You could fly to the very ceiling of the game, and then you could bail out and not pull your parachute. You could fall the entire way down to the ground. As long as you grappled just before you hit the ground, it would instantly play the grapple mechanic and then nullify any fall that you were doing. It's just like, oh, the guy's grappling now. I'm going to change to the grapple animation, and he's just going to lull across the ground and stop where the grapple bit into the ground. So I'm wondering if that'll happen with Landmark, because you can jump off the highest peak, and as long as you're quick enough and as long as you're good enough to get your grapple into the ground before you land, if that would nullify your fall and then just zip you onto the ground, and away you go.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
that in Starbound and Terraria too.
Yeah.
You could make a giant hole and just fall all the way to the bottom, and as long as there was either water or you grappled onto the side of something, you were good.
Yeah.
That's the old mine trick. That's the old Minecraft trick.
Yep.
Just have a pull the water at the bottom of the hill, and just as long as it's two voxels deep, you're fine.
Yep.
I wonder if that'd work in Landmark once they do add water. Like what role
Great
water's going to
question.
play in the fall damage.
Great question.
We'll see. Right now in PlanetSide 2, water is just instant death if you can even get close to it. So, they've got a little ways to go from that. So that actually is kind of a good segue, though, into the last thing I really wanted to talk about, which was combat. Now, they talked about combat a little bit. They gave us the, yes, Arm Gear's a elevator. They gave us a little bit about the what kind of style of combat you want to do as an adventurer, and said the adventurer is a very proficient and versatile class that can use pretty much any piece of equipment that's available, without limitation. That's why we don't need other classes in the games, because the adventurer can do everything. So, that being said, they described the sword and board type, the Dynasty Warriors or whatever, dodging around and just dual wield whirling blades of death. They talked about being like a spellcaster and being able to kind of, keep your enemies at bay with those kinds of abilities, or just being an archer and staying at a distance. Now, it's just a silly pull. They're doing this to get discussion, and of course, there's gonna be people that are going to want to do all four. I want to do all four. A lot of people want to do all four, and it's just in the context of the battle and the type of fight it is. But looking at it a little bit more, they've talked about how it's an item-based system. Like, the equipment that you've got will significantly impact what your abilities are and what you can do. So that actually makes me think more of the progression and versatility you would see in a procedural roguelike, like The Binding of Isaac or Rogue Legacy in particular. And I feel like there's examples in both that kind of work. In Rogue Legacy, you're continually unlocking equipment, and that equipment interacts with the class and the attributes of that character to give you a better experience. Now, at some point it will be, there's some best equipment that you have, and that's mostly what you're using. But then in with that, you can still switch it out for runes that give you other abilities. Maybe you want more life drain. Maybe you decide instead of having a dash and a jump, you want to have a triple jump, or you just want to put all of your things into jump, and you've got 6 jumps in a row. So, that's the sort of thing. Likewise with The Binding of Isaac, every single run, you're finding completely different sets of items, and how they interact and mix and what they do is completely different. Sometimes things override other things, but sometimes you've got stuff that's just really awesome, powerful combinations. Like ones where you're just, shooting bombs everywhere are always pretty powerful, even though you can usually kill yourself really easily. Having the ability to bomb areas, destroy terrain, open up the secret doors and such without actually having to expend your finite bomb supply is actually a really awesome trait, and in conjunction with some other things can actually make for a really easy run. Like, if you've got that in combination with one of the abilities that gives you flying, it's just game over. You're just going to go through the rest of it like it's easy mode. So that's the sort of thing I'm really hoping to see, is that level of modularity where we're going to be seeing so much variety of stuff, and not just the copper version, and then there's the iron version that's stronger, and then there's the but actually seeing things that have different different varieties and different features and different things that they can do, and just a lot of combinations with that. So, and actually the ability to kind of hot swap based on what the situation is. So you can go from your short sword and your really quick low armor, high speed, high damage kind of equipment, to your full on sword and board tank that can't be moved and can just smash through voxels like it's no big deal if you need to, sort of thing. Yeah, and then switch to your ranged person that's maybe decent speed but has really high jump height, so that way you can take cover real easily, get up in the high ground, and just blast things in the enemy's. So these could all be styles that are viable for the player to switch between within one battle, and how they set up their equipment will potentially be able to really reinforce their abilities with it, or otherwise, it'll be something where it's just you kind of got to experiment and try this and that and see what works.
Do you think there's going to be kind of not a support class, because there's not going to be classes, you could just do anything, but do you think there's going to be a way to build your character so that your focus is to be in a group with other people and to help them do whatever they're doing?
Absolutely.
Because I would love that.
I'm sure they're going to have stuff like that. And that's, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I can see there being particular, because they were talking about how the things you equip, the equipment you equip onto your character for a particular battle, I can see them having versions or particular braces that not only help you, but it might give your, if you happen to be in a group or a party, that would give a bonus to them, might give them a percentage of health regen, or might give them a percentage of extra mana or something like that. I could see that being a legit deal. And if you specifically built your character that way, it would be like a healer or something like that, to prolong everyone else's life, or to give them extra stats or higher buffs, I guess, with utilizing because they've said that they're going to try and make it the party system to try and encompass all parts of the game. So not only was it for mining, but it's also for combat as well. So if you're all combating a particular creep, that if you're in a party, then you've all got individual things that might have maybe an AoE effect or something. That anyone within that area gets extra life or extra armor. So I could see you'd be able to build a pretty awesome support character if you geared it that way. Of course, you'd be pretty useless by yourself, probably. Yeah, because your gear might not be specifically aimed at being great by itself. But once you're in a group of a bunch of people and everyone can benefit from it, I could see that happening pretty easily.
I mean, support could be just like, okay, you're wearing a battle standard instead of a cape that gives you individually attributes, and that maybe it also serves as an indicator enemies will aggro you a little bit more because they see this big battle standard coming off of your back, and they'll say, oh, well, that's the guy that's giving everyone buffs, so let's kill them first. Or maybe you're out there playing your war drums or your bagpipes or whatever, and providing buffs to the team that way, or actually helping to coordinate the buffs for the team and channel like overheals to the people that need them, for example.
Oh. Well, do you think like in a lot of other games, when they have a class or multiple classes that are kind of playing a support role, they try to also make them at least a little bit self-sufficient. And if you look at Guild Wars 2, they didn't really have any class that was like that at all, and they all had kind of support capabilities. So I wonder if they would go a route where you could actually make yourself pretty much useless by yourself and only able to really do anything in a group. If they did, I would still do that. It'd be fun.
I don't think you'd be useless. To say that, I mean, when I said that you might not be the best, I'm saying if you had a set of gear that was designed specifically for your own self-preservation, you might be a lot better off, rather than if you had a set of gear that was designed primarily as a support person in mind. If you were to then go off as yourself, you would probably do better to swap out to that other gear rather than run around with the gear that's more centered around helping other people. But that's not to say that everyone doesn't equip the same type of thing. So like you've got boots that give you agility, and it gives everyone in the party a 5% stack of agility. if everyone wore the same boots, then maybe it'll all stack and everyone will be super duper quick. And so therefore people, other attacks may miss more often than not. But I think you'll still be able to be a support player. I think that's what they're getting at by having all of these different, your explorer can be anything. I think that's what they're trying to tell you, is that if you want to play a support character, you can do it. Equip your guy with all the stuff that would be required or would be useful as a support role. But if you want to go out by yourself and you don't want to get, jumped by the first guy with a decent axe and get your head chopped off, equip the stuff that helps you protect yourself, or gives you higher armor. Maybe you don't have that AOE of protection or whatever. But you've got armor that gives you plus 15. Don't hit me in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they'll make it really well balanced. I don't think they're going to make it so, if you're choosing to be a support player, you're useless anywhere else. I think it's more up to you as to what you equip with your character. Yeah. And then you go, I want to go out and I want to go out into the jungle myself today and I want to have a look around, might come across something. I'll throw on some extra armor. I'll make sure I've got a pretty decent weapon, and I'll go in there. But if I'm going with a bunch of mates, okay, well, we've got two guys that have got really big axes or really big swords and they can deal a lot of damage. But, if they start taking damage, they're pretty useless. So I'll equip some stuff that helps them out as well. But I can still deal damage, or with a bow, or, I've got a stick of duck, like you've got a stick with a duck on the end, holding a bit smaller stick with a duck on the end, and then I'm sure that gives plus 50 confusion, and the other people are just like, what the fuck, he's hitting me with ducks.
I'm sure that.
Yes, the ducky hammer.
Sorry?
Like, maybe part of the support role could be manipulating enemies and stuff.
Why not?
For sure. The control type.
Yeah, of course.
But I was just worried because they did that poll today, and it was like, lots of blades, beating people up, shooting people from far away, and they didn't say magic, but magic. So I was worried about that.
Yeah, no, it'll. They're just kind of testing the field out there to see what people are kind of interested in, just a prompt for conversation. Like I said, it's not really a serious poll question necessarily. They just want to make sure there isn't some overwhelming yes, we all want to use ranged weapons sort of thing, which it's pretty balanced right now, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a pretty balanced poll the entire way through.
Yeah. I think no matter what style of combat you prefer, or what side of role that you want to play, I think they're going to have to keep in mind that not everyone's going to want to roll in a group. Not everyone's going to want to play a specific role with a bunch of friends in a combat role. There are going to be those people who just want to go out by themselves, and with that in mind, they have to create a system that allows people to be able to do all of them. So I guess that by throwing up that, like Nero said, throwing up that poll really just stimulates discussion more than anything. I don't think it's a big sort of indicator that, these are only the roles that you can play. These are only the types of combat that you can partake in the game. They just sort of say, so what, they're like, out of these modes of combat, what's your favorite, or what are you more likely to do?
Yeah.
They have no details as to, you might be that archer in the back sort of firing away from nowhere, but that's because you've got low armor, because the equipment that you've got's designed to be as a support role. So, just because they're saying, you're shooting from a ranged perspective doesn't mean you're not helping the rest of the group in a support role. So, yeah, I think we would really need to see more stats and more definite figures on it may not be loud there, but it's really loud here. It's like there's someone outside this, It's like two Johnny Fives having sex in a dumpster. If you can imagine that.
No, actually, I think that sounds a little more like dubstep, but.
Yeah, and they're having sex while listening to dubstep in a dumpster. Oh God. Anyway, sorry.
I I would also say I don't know if it's necessarily just for Landmark or if it's going to be, or rather, if it's just EverQuest Next or if it's also for Landmark. But they've said they don't want this like triangle of specificity that your character starts as one thing and then they just slowly hone into one specific thing and then you got to spend 50 gold to do a rebuild or whatever.
Yeah.
But instead that they want, as you build and progress, you get more and more options available and you can, do more and more with your character than was possibly available when you started the game. It's just kind of, once again, like the procedural roguelikes where you keep unlocking the stuff as you play through and you have those things available in your arsenal, or maybe you have to build them first, but the things become available. I'm really excited to see how it's going to be either way.
Yeah,
Yep.
there's so many possibilities. It's hard for me to even talk about it because there's so much stuff that they could do. Like especially with some other mechanics that aren't in a lot of other things, like the grapple action and how there's more opportunities for that fall damage and stuff because of things like that.
Well, I mean, something that they've mentioned a couple of times when the devs have been on the live stream, specifically with combat in the topic of conversation. I know I've heard a couple of them talking about, and I'm assuming it's some sort of spellcaster that can do it, because I don't believe you'd be able to be fighting someone and then quickly whip out your selection tool, draw a line, lift it up, select a voxel type, and then throw up a wall of voxels. But they have said that is a part of the combat, how because of the dynamic voxel system, where if you have some sort of explosive, it will indent and create a crater, which now, if it was underneath the player you're fighting, they're now down there and you're now up here, and there's that sort of terrain or that geographical advantage.
Yeah,
They
that's
did
what I've
mention
thinking of, too.
they did mention about being able to raise a wall of voxels up in front of your enemy or opponent, and then that sort of could even be just a mob if they're chasing you, and if you're a spellcaster, you could whip around and you've got some sort of earth spell and you smash it down and it just brings up a big rock boulder up in front of them, and they oh crap, now what, I've got to go around that, but that gives you a matter of time. So there's a lot more. And the other thing I was just thinking of when you said the grapple action, how is the grapple going to work with combat? I mean, if you have the ability to grapple whilst combat, that's ridiculous. We're talking Spider-Man now.
Yeah.
We're talking about you can have your opponent / enemy in between you and say a tree, and they're in the middle of if you're really quick and you're really good at it and you practice up, and you can tell they're about to cast a spell or something, because they get the Kamehameha, they're about to Super Saiyan, and then you quickly grapple behind them, and all of a sudden you've got the element of surprise because they're in the middle of a designated 2-second spell time or spell cast, and then all of a sudden now you're behind them and you could quickly, I don't know, pull their pants down and smack them. I don't know.
Reminds me of Zelda a little bit. Always trying to get behind stuff.
Well, it's the element of surprise.
I wonder if they'll make it so that when you throw dynamite at somebody, it'll actually hurt
Blow their
them.
pants
Because
off?
right
Oh.
now, it just makes a hole. Yeah, blow
Well,
their pants off, of course.
Straight
Please.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
That's
yeah.
right.
That's what I'm wondering, is if the high yield dynamite will actually be a viable weapon, or otherwise, I mean, it'll still be useful if you've got a bunch of ranged combatants. You'll be able to blow out the terrain that they're hiding behind and destroy their cover and send them scattering.
That's it. Yeah.
You asked before about weapons. About what kind of weapons people want to see.
Yeah.
I was looking before for a picture of this, but in that game, Fly for Fun, which is, I think it's still going, it's a Korean MMO, and it's in other stuff too, but this is what I remember it from. They had those big fist things, like big punchy gloves, or if you've ever seen
yeah.
Vi from League of Legends, I want that real bad.
I've seen those. Yeah, it's just a big nasty punching glove. Yeah.
Yeah, and those were actually used on the support class in that game for some reason that I've never understood.
Oh well.
I don't know
that
what
makes
sort of
sense.
weapons I'd like to see. I don't know. There's too many weapons that I want to see. Like, I mean, and that also begs the question: what sort of weapons are they going to stop at? I mean, we're gonna have bows. We're gonna have, well, someone mentioned spears or something. We're gonna have a lot of bladed weapons, axes, probably swords of all sorts, whether they be a broadsword or whether they katana, possibly. I mean, do they stop? Do they keep on going to maces, and do they go to? I mean, what are they going to have? Nunchucks? Are they going to go? I mean, are we going to see projectile weapons like a crossbow or something, like a physical triggered projectile weapon? I mean, are they going to stop there? Are they going to go to flintlock type weapons? Gunpowder. I mean, where does it stop?
Well, some amount of it is, what are the aesthetics going to be versus what are the mechanics going to be?
I
And
heard there's
that's,
gonna be skins.
yeah, a lot of it's going to be the idea that it's, one type of weapon and then the skin modifies the appearance one way or another. And maybe there'll be other things that we can modify about it, such as the, the actual damage type that it does, or if it's a bladed weapon, you can change the type of grind that it has. So maybe, if you use a razor grind, it's going to be more effective against fleshy targets, but a lot weaker against armored targets, versus if you do like a chisel grind, that might not necessarily stay as sharp to be able to cut through flesh, but it's going to be one of the most potentially rigid blades you can use to fight against armor. Of course, you're not trying to, use a sword to cut through a rock golem. That's more of like a hammer or like an axe or something, maybe. Or dynamite. I think dynamite would probably work for that sort of thing. I hope there's actually like creatures that are just amalgamations of voxels that pop up. So you're just fighting like, and they can be, bigger and more diverse as you get further down. So on the surface, sure, it's just a bunch of stone and copper, no big deal, you knock it down. Then later on, it's, obsidian and mithril, and it's just this giant swirling pile of it. And sure, there's going to be a lot of it when you kill the thing and everyone's going to share it, but till then, this thing, it's just going to be, your weapons bouncing off of it for a good 20 minutes.
Someone mentioned multiple hot bars. I did catch that.
Hot bars, yeah.
About that. So I have all kinds of different item bonuses that I want to switch between. I don't have room for them. But I thought there should be like a palette for the tools. It should really be separate.
Yeah, it should.
Yeah, or toggleable, so that it's like the drop down on the left hand side, where you can actually pin it up if you want to physically pin it out, so that all of your materials are there and easily accessible. They should have the similar thing for the building tools as well. So it's like, I'm not building, I just want to be out, either combat or mining or whatever. I don't need my building tools. So you just set it to be a tiny little bar up there, and then now I'm going to be building. Yep, I need my tools, click it, pin it, and then I've got them ready to go. And they can still be, they can still be hotkeyed if you want.
The bars, more than anything, when I'm building, is when I've got a bunch of props I want to set down. I'll just put the prop on the hotbar, and it's a lot easier to access that way.
True.
But other than that, I mean, definitely ways they can improve upon that. But we've been going here for the allotted time segment. It is now 7 p.m. Pacific time, so probably be wrapping up here. So once again, thank each and every, both of you for coming here, and everyone in chat. Thank each and every one of you for coming. Everyone in chat, if you haven't already, follow my channel. But more importantly, follow Stakas and follow Poro Sorceress. Both streamers, good folks. You'll have fun watching their channels. Stakas, you got to not be wearing pants to really enjoy the experience the same way. Other than that, I unfortunately am unable to do giveaways at this time because there's still some issues with the system. So, Stakas, unless you have your giveaway system working, otherwise we'll just raid your channel and do it there.
Sorry,
all right. I'll have to figure it out for the next time, definitely. But yeah, that's it. So, any final things either of you wanted to say?
Well, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun. I would just note that I'm only going to be a good person until the punchy gloves get put in the game, and then I'm going to punch everyone. So just be
Awesome.
aware of that.
That's awesome.
That's
PvP enabled.
That's right. I've been saying to a bunch of the guys I chat to regularly, I just can't wait to hit shit with a stick. Simple as that. The minute I can pick something up and physically assault someone with it, I'll be sitting here grinning. I'll have the Cheshire Cat grin on me, and I'll have no pants on, and I'll just be giggling like a little hitting shit with sticks. I know people, mate next door will think I've gone nuts, and I tell you what, I will go nuts. It's going to be fun.
Everybody
Be
will
great.
be able to see it with SOE mode too.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right.
It's going to be even creepier when they have in-game VoIP, and I come up behind someone and they're sitting there sort of crafting something at a station, and I walk up and I'm like, "Hey there, baby. Yeah, you smell pretty good. Don't run, it's okay. No tears now, only dreams. Come here, baby. Yeah, so if you can imagine that with SOE emote and in-game VoIP.
You
Oh, yeah.
could seriously get prosecuted for that.
Have to come and get me. Have to prove it was me. Wasn't me. That's right, baby. Craft. I love the way you craft, baby. Yeah. And I could someone, they'd be down in the boat, they'll be pulverizing looking for a cave, and I just drop down into the middle of, there's nowhere to go, baby. Let's just find a cave together. It's okay. Stop crying, baby. It's all right.
Save it for SOE mode. Alright, everybody. I am your host, Legendary Neurotoxin. This is Live Feature Rant, and we are taking off. See you later.
Bye.
Bye, baby.